What's up, everybody? And today we're checking out 12 surprising facts about MARCOS. I am always very interested about MARCOS because it's basically the Indians version of the Royal Marines Commandos, which is what I was a part of. So it's just really interesting to see what they're doing. Well, I say they're kind of like the Royal Marines Commandos. It says Marine Commandos in their title, but I feel like they're a bit of a cross between Royal Marines Commandos and Navy SEALs because they are their special forces, whereas our commandos are not. But I think we still play a very similar role. And so I think it's always interesting to watch if it's something under my area of expertise. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I'm really excited to watch this. I feel like there's always really good discussions in the comment sections when it comes to Indian military. And so I'm excited for that as well. If you want to watch the video, this is by FTD Facts. If you want to watch the original video, it'll be down in the description below, as always. Down in the description as well, I've not done this for like 5 years that I have been doing this channel. I finally put links to all of the equipment I use, the camera, the monitors, the mouse, keyboard, audio, everything. If you want to see that, obviously it's Amazon links, so I will get a commission if you buy something through there, which will obviously be amazing and would help the channel a lot. But yeah, people always ask me, and I just thought I would leave the links down below. I also put my 5 current favorite books. So if you want to go check them out as well, you can certainly go check that out. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, because we are so close to 500,000 subscribers. We're so close, and we're gonna have a party, and it's gonna be grand. Let's watch this. Let's have some fun.
The Indian military is one of the best in the world, ranked at number 4 on the scale of total military power.
6 years ago, yeah, I would say it's probably ranked more like 2nd or 3rd right now, actually. I mean, who's better than the Indian military? Obviously, America are better than anyone in the world. Maybe China. Russia's definitely not. So 2nd or 3rd, depending on what you think about China, to be honest with you.
Within the Indian military, the Marine Commandos are very elite and are among the best of the best in the entire world. Marine Commando stands for MARCOS, and it's the Special Forces unit of the Indian Navy created for conducting special operations in maritime environments. They are called the few, the fearless, as they are one of the most feared Indian forces.
Rightly
How's it
so.
going, everybody? My name is Leroy Kenton, and welcome to another episode of FTD Facts. Now, I know quite a bit of you guys have been requesting for us to do a video about MARCOS for quite a while. I'm super excited to do this video because these guys are just so intense. But before you continue watching,
so obviously the Royal Marines Commandos, which I was a part of, you get at the end of training, you get a green beret. Right, that's what we get. We get our coveted green beret. It's up there on my shelf somewhere. Is there some sort of symbolic achievement at the end of the MARCOS? Is there something that they receive? That's what I'm interested in.
Don't forget to just, give this video a thumbs up if you're liking these episodes. And if I'm telling you, you don't want to miss any videos. Okay, so let the fun begin. So the Marine Commando Force, or the MCF, was created as a special forces unit by the Indian Navy in 1987. For many years, the Indian Navy wanted to establish an elite force for special maritime operations.
Of course, I feel like it's a no-brainer that there is a place in the military for what I do and what the MARCOS do and what the SEALs and what kind of the US Marines do, where it's amphibious assaults. Massive, if you think about it right now. Absolutely massive. And so there is always going to be a place for this type of soldier.
A year earlier, in April of 1986, the Indian Naval Staff created a plan for a special force which would be able to conduct recon raids and even counter-terrorist operations in a maritime environment. 3 naval officers were sent for training with the US Navy SEALs, and further training was conducted with the British Special Forces. These 3 naval officers formed the first nucleus of the Indian Maritime Special Forces, which was...
So yeah, that makes sense, right? You've got the Navy SEALs, which are the Special Forces amphibious, which is the same really as our SBS, although I think our SBS is probably a little bit, more sneaky than the Navy SEALs is. Not many people know about the SBS. And my presumption is they went and did some training with the SEALs, did some training with the SBS, learned amphibious assault from a Special Forces perspective, and therefore went back to India and created the MARCOS, which is the exact calibration you want to create a Special Forces amphibious assault team.
Then formally raised in February of 1987. Then shortly after, in 1991, they had its name changed to the Marine Commandos Force, the MCF, and are now familiarly known as MARCOS, simply the Marine Commandos.
Yeah.
Now, the men selected to be Marine Commandos are amongst the fittest officers as well as sailors of the Indian Navy. They're selected when they are young, in their early 20s, and have to go through a very intense selection process as well as training process. The Marine Commandos are trained for operations on air, land, and sea. So you can see like the prefix Marine is like mainly just for formality since they are from the Navy. But in general, you can call them like the all-in-one commandos because they specialize in things like parajumping all the way to deep sea diving.
Yeah, it makes sense that they also expand to do their wings course, basically. You can do that in the Royal Marines that I'm a part of, but it's not something that you have to do. It's something you can volunteer to do if you want, because you have to remember over here in the UK, we have the commandos, the Royal Marines commandos, and we have the paras, which are both not special forces, which means you can join at 16, which is what I did. But then you also have our special forces, the SAS, the Special Air Service, and the SBS, the Special Boat Service. So it's both kind of like an amalgamation. But when you get up to special forces levels, you're pretty much the same across the board, to be honest with you. You just have a specialty.
Now, the people training to be a part of MARCOS have to complete a 2-year course, the first phase of which lasts just 1 month, in which they undergo many rigorous physical tests, of which only 50% of them pass. A 20-kilometer run starts the beginning of every day in MARCOS training. Now, the next day, it's a 20-kilometer night trek with 60-kilogram loads. This routine is on alternate days, and there's no like digital simulations or dummies or anything like that used in MARCOS training. The training is conducted with live ammunition and guns are always loaded. It leaves no chance of any sort of friendly fire, so you can't be playing around during training.
Yeah.
No, someone could actually die. Then for the next 9 months, they're taught how to use different types of weapons, as well as conduct special warfare techniques and how to gather intelligence from their enemy. Now, this part of the training is conducted in conjunction with other Indian Special Forces at the Combined Commando School at Sursawa. They also have to go through a parachute training course and a diving course. Now, the Indian Marine Special Force first went into action a few months after its rising in Sri Lanka to fight against the liberation of Tamil Tigers, Elam.
My presumption is them officers that did form the original MARCOS are still around then. It makes me wonder if they're retired or if they're still in the MARCOS or what. But that would be an interesting story in itself. I'd like to know more about them 3 individuals.
LTTE. In November of 1988, mercenaries of the People's Liberation Organization of Tamil Elam, which was a party used to oppose the LTTE, well, they attempted a coup in the Maldives, and the Indian Armed Forces quickly began an operation to re-establish the former government. Under the code name Operation Cactus, Indian paratroopers on November 4th, 1988, swarmed the capital. However, 46 mercenaries with 27 hostages, including the Maldivian Minister of Education, they all managed to escape on board a merchant ship, until 2 Indian Navy vessels were able to capture it. So let's fast forward from that fact to MARCOS today. Now, the strength of the unit is a very closely guarded secret. However,
How many do you think are in there? I'm trying to put numbers on because you've got to look at the size of their military as a whole. Maybe 2,000-3,000. Probably the same as the Royal Marines Commandos, actually. We have about 2,000 or 3,000. But we're obviously not special forces, whereas they are. And so if you can extrapolate that to the size of their military compared to the size of our military, it's probably around the same amount of individuals, about 2,000 or 3,000, which is a very small elite amount of individuals, which means you can make the training very concise, which is what we do here in the Royal Marines. And it's very, very important to create an elite special soldier. It really is.
Sources say that the number could be close to 2,000 operatives and 10 groups of 200 personnel each. However, sources say that that number could be close to 2,000 personnel in 10 groups of 200 personnel each. Although MARCOS members are qualified to use a parachute and even undergo a combat divers course, which is not really a common practice in other commando forces, only a few manage to complete the free-for-all parachute training, and it's these few that are selected for operations with Cosmos CE-2F-X-100 two-man submarines.
Interesting.
Now, the unit's quick rise has changed the unit's role. It was intended to be dedicated to special maritime operations, but a considerable part of MARCOS is doubling as a Marine infantry, assigned.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as the Royal Marines at that point. We were specifically made as amphibious soldiers, right? But if there is no need for amphibious warfare at the current time, they need to be doing something. Right? And so regular ground soldiers, why not have these elite soldiers, which are the best of the best, doing the groundwork as well? They can do it, so why not? And therefore, that's why they're doing it currently, because there's no need for the amphibious assault right now. Yeah, it makes total sense.
To the 340th Brigade with the usual flexibility of commando forces.
Yeah.
MARCOS has also been very active in Kashmir as part of the counter-terrorist efforts. Their main task is to control the infiltration of enemies from Pakistan to Kashmir through the Jhelum River and Wular, a 65 square kilometer fresh lake. Now, did you know that MARCOS are widely feared among terrorists who call them Didwala Fauj, meaning the bearded army, because of their bearded disguises that they wear in civilian areas.
That's special forces, they're able to grow out beards. In the Royal Marines, you know. Actually, I think, didn't they put a thing out where you're allowed to grow beards now in the Royal Marines? I'm pretty sure you are, actually. Or it might have been just the army. But they might be able to grow beards now, which is pretty cool.
And these Marine commandos can be launched into operations from ships, aircrafts, and submarines, as I mentioned earlier, in full combat gear.
Yeah.
Their transport vehicles consist of the HAL Druv, Westland Sea King, the HAL Chetak helicopter, all-terrain vehicles, ATVs for short, and the Indian Navy Swimmer delivery vehicle. And finally, just recently on October 6 of 2017, MARCOS on board an INS Trishul carried out an anti-piracy operation in the Gulf of Aden. They stopped a piracy attempt on the Indian ship, the MV Jag Amar. 1 AK-47 and 1 magazine with 27 rounds were recovered. 12 suspected pirates were also captured.
Anti-maritime, that was my speciality. I was doing Op Cougar, and I was doing anti-piracy out there as well as my speciality.
So yeah, you see, these guys are no joke. In a world where danger lurks around every corner, the Marine Commandos definitely help make things a little safer for the people of India as well as other parts of the world. This episode of FTD Facts is brought to you by Grammarly.com. Grammarly is the world leader.
All right, that's pretty much it for that video. Great video. They are closer to what I am than I thought, actually. Obviously, they're special forces, so they have their own perks in that sense. But at the end of the day, the Royal Marines Commandos, which is what I was a part of. I was part of the Royal Marines Commandos, and it looks like a lot of the stuff they do is what we did. That means that all that means is they are incredible, incredible soldiers, and some of the best of the best. I think that anyone who gets that job description, them responsibilities, they're called thinking soldiers, right? They're not just boots on the ground. They are thinking soldiers because they are experts at what they do. That's what I was a part of, and that's why I joined the Royal Marines Commandos. And I think that I would have absolutely loved to have worked with them back when I was in the Marines. I feel like we would have got along like a house on fire. We would have got along really well. Great video. I'll leave a link down below in the description if you want to go check it out without me waffling over the top. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts. Other than that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We're nearly at 500,000. We'll go live when we reach 500,000 and have a party. Until next time, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.